Did you know that blinders are a real thing? Now, don't laugh at me. I just figured this out. I always thought living with your blinders on was just an expression for being blind to what's happening around you. But apparently, these are a real physical thing that you put on horses to prevent them from seeing all that's around them and maybe help them race better or prevent them from getting spooked by other cars that are around them. I didn't know that. But what I do know is that we as people, while not with physical blinders on, we live with blinders on. We're unaware of the full scope of what's around us, and in our relationship with God, unaware of how He's working and meeting our needs. Paul, an early follower of Jesus, wrote to the church in Philippi about how God provides for our needs. He was encouraging this church, and this is what he said. "And this same God who takes care of me will supply all your needs from His glorious riches, which have been given to us in Christ Jesus." You know what's ironic about this verse? Paul wrote this while in prison. You want to talk about someone who was living with the blinders off? That was Paul. It would have been so easy for him to focus on his circumstances, to be frustrated that God wasn't rescuing him from prison, or to blame God for allowing him to be put in prison in the first place, because he was put in prison for trying to share Jesus with more and more people. But he didn't. He was able to see how God was providing and meeting his needs, even in less than ideal circumstances. He saw how God was providing through other believers, through his community. But did you catch what was needed in order for him to see that? He had to look. He had to recognize that God was working beyond what he thought was supposed to naturally happen. And so he was able to see through his circumstances that God was still meeting his needs while in prison. He had to take the blinders off. There's been a verse in Psalms that has been a challenge and comfort to me in my own seasons of feeling like my needs aren't being met or I'm lacking things. It says, "Those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." That's been a challenge because if I feel like I'm lacking and that verse is true, then those two things can't go together. So I must be focusing on a want rather than a need. Or I must be focusing on the fact that God is meeting my needs in a different way than what I expect or would want. Today, my encouragement to you is to take the blinders off and to live with eyes open to how God is working and meeting your needs in whatever circumstances you find yourself in. Maybe you need to write down, intentionally think through and write all the ways that God has provided for you over the years or is currently providing for you. And as you do that, may that help us continue to trust Him, to know that He's going to continue to provide for our needs in whatever circumstances we find ourselves in.